Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. Your host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, former three-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, former NXT and IWGP Tag Team Champion as well, Mr. Bobby Fish. Bobby, welcome in. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's going on in your world? What are you up to?
Well, I gotta thank you for clearing up a little confusion on my part. I said the other day on some kind of broadcast interview that I was doing, two-time Ring of Honor Tag Champion, and I was thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure it was three, but like I'm so bad with all that stuff, I keep track of nothing.
Damn.
So, but you confirmed it for me, so I'll have to make that correction from now on.
Yes, three-time. How could you forget?
Three-time.
Come on. You can't forget that.
I forget lots of things. Probably more than I should.
So what's going on in your world, though? What have you been up to?
So biggest thing for right now is this YouTube channel. And we've been doing a podcast in relation to that. We've been releasing as much content as we can. Bobbyfish.com. You could also find it through the Bobby Fish on my Instagram. Go to the first link in the bio. Hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell. We're really trying to just put out good content, interact. I've not always, like with my Instagram, I've not always been great on engagement. And I'm trying to do better with that. And now that we're doing the YouTube channel, that's really one of the things that I've started to enjoy is getting feedback and hearing what it is that the fans want to hear us talk about. So those ideas are really just invaluable because there's such a vast range of things that I can get on here and talk about that. If I'm left to my own devices, it's going to be a little bit spotty. But when people have their suggestions and they have the things that they want to hear and they ask for it specifically, like then we can go out and we can give them that. So that's really my big focus right now is the YouTube channel.
Nice. And now wrestling though, what's going on wrestling wise? Injured or are you're still doing your thing? Because I know recently or not so recently you had been wrestling, but less often.
No, I'm still wrestling a good amount. I talked about an injury that I had, which the injuries, it's a pulled hamstring and pulled hamstrings and stuff like that are just par for the course. I mean, they just are what they are. I know that when I first did it, I thought I tore it. And I guess there was a lot made of it, more by me than anything else, because I had a relative that had, been pretty candid with me about, what the fuck are you doing wrestling without health insurance? And, I thought about it and like, I don't even bat an eyelash at that. Like that's been my entire career for the most part. And it's just one of those things that we accept on this side of the industry. And it's one of those things that like a wrestler would not really raise their eyebrows at that, but a civilian like my relative at the time, like, yeah, that's kind of crazy thing to do or stupid thing to do, to be honest. And it's just part of what we accept when we try to make a go at this thing. But my hamstring's good, feeling 10 times better. I still got a little hitch in the giddy up, but nowhere near what it was. And like I said, I think what I thought was a tear is a pulled hamstring, and I just have to be smart. I'm not really getting medical attention for it, but I think I've been around it long enough to know that there's ways that are going to aid it, and help it get better. And then there's neglect. I need to not neglect it. Is what it comes down to, John.
Yeah, definitely not. You gotta focus in there. Make sure you're not injured. You know what I mean? Or not too severely injured.
Yeah, I think it's just life that we have the bumps and the bruises and the issues, and they're on that spectrum of, you know, what's an injury and what's a boo-boo, and you know, all points in between. Pro wrestling tends to check those boxes early and often, so like welcome to it. You know, enjoy your time.
Yeah, that'll be something. So as far as you wrestling, obviously you're still out there, but what about MLW? Are you still doing MLW? You're still contracted to MLW?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked with them. I know that there's been some changes happening, and some different opportunities. And I don't know. I don't have a totally clear direction at the moment, but we're figuring it out. And I'm doing independence, and I'm still staying busy when I can. I recently moved from Florida back to New York, so that's been a big change for me. And just I've needed some time to kind of get settled and whatnot as well. So a little bit less busy schedule has not necessarily been a bad thing. But I think especially as, you know, now that I'm back in New York, yeah, I'm looking to get, you know, just get a full calendar.
The Rogue Horsemen, they could return, or are they done for good?
No, they're done. And that was I don't know. I was not necessarily prepared for that, but it happened. I enjoyed my time with all three guys, and I would be quick to jump back into something, but I don't think, at least with MLW, I don't believe that's in the cards. But hey, I mean, it's wrestling, and I've been doing this long enough now to know that, like, you got to roll with all the punches, good, bad, all of them.
What do you think about that faction, though? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Did you think it was maybe too short-lived, or what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was too short-lived, because I thought that we were able to, you know, be true heels. I thought that there was way more life left in it. I loved working with BRG and Brock and CW. We just had fun, and I mean, that's what I've had in every group that I've ever been in. You know, Red Dragon, it was fun. Kyle and I were, you know, it was like being with my brother. And then Undisputed Era, same sort of thing. I mean, that's why that worked so well. Was I think it's tangible. I think it's when it's real and you really enjoy the people you're working with. I think the fans can spot that, and they can feel it, and they know what's genuine and what's not.
So are you still in touch with the members of Undisputed Era? I know you were putting over Adam Cole recently, but are you still in touch with all those guys?
Yeah, not as much as we once were, because I don't work with them like we, you know, at one point we spoke to each other just about every single day. We're still, I could show you on my phone now, we're still on a text thread with the four of us, where we never go too long without checking in. I'm sure, and I don't know now with Adam if he's pulled away a little bit, but I know like Kyle and Roddy and Adam were probably in communication a little bit more, because they were all working for AEW together. And when we were all working for NXT, or even when we were in AEW, me, Roddy, and Kyle, there was just more communication, because it's like necessary. But Yeah, I don't think I think when it comes to those three and myself, I don't think we'll ever get completely out of touch. I don't think that'll ever happen.
What is going on, AEW? Any chance of going back there? Do you want to go back there? What's up with AEW?
I have not spoken to them. I don't ever rule out anything with AEW or with WWE or with anybody else, New Japan or AAA or, this is still the best way for me to earn a living. It's the most money in the least amount of time. And I'm grateful, by the grace of God, my body is still willing to allow me to do this. So as long as that's the case, I'm open. If my dance card allows for me to do it, I don't rule out anything. It's pro wrestling, so we can't do that because you never say never. And at the end of the day, especially Roddy and Kyle are there now. Unfortunately, since the four of us have not been together as a unit since leaving WWE. There's been, the times in AEW where it was Adam and Kyle and me, or it was Adam and me. And now it's Roddy and Kyle and Adam to a lesser degree, but it's never been the four of us again together. Even on an independent or anything, it's never happened in an official capacity. And, dare I say, I think that's leaving money on the table. But who am I to say?
Yeah, it was really the Undisputed Elite or whatever, and it would be the Young Bucks are kind of involved with you guys, but it was never you guys all together. It was kind of weird the way that kind of could have happened, maybe should have happened, but didn't happen.
Well, if I remember it correctly, when the three of us were there, Adam, Kyle, and me, Roddy was still with NXT.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. And Kyle had only just come over. And then I left AEW, and then that's when Roddy joined AEW. Not right then, but that's we've all missed each other. One of us has one of the four has always not been in play. Let's put it that way.
When you were there and you ended up leaving, was that contract was up, or did you want to leave, or you left on good terms, or how did that go down?
My contract was up, and we couldn't agree on terms, and the wrestling media is what it is, and everybody's looking for a story. We couldn't agree on numbers. I mean, that's literally what it came down to. I don't remember who the piece of shit was that reported on it. There was somebody that put out a completely fabricated story that I went to Kyle and Adam and tried to get them to come back to WWE with me. And that's why I was leaving AEW. And there's zero truth to this whatsoever. But this is pro wrestling. So nothing should shock you. And frankly, nothing does shock me. I don't want to say the name that's on the tip of my tongue. I kind of don't want to say it because I don't want to accuse the wrong person.
Gotcha.
And I'm not accusing. I'm not accusing. I want to say it was the Sapp guy, Ross Sapp. I think that reported on that story. And that story, I'm here to state for the record, you, sir, are a fucking liar. Because there's literally it's like you pulled that straight out of thin air. There's not a single shred of truth to that, but it's become sort of common knowledge at this point that, like, yeah, that's what that piece of shit Bobby Fish did. That son of a bitch.
But he never really did it. That's not actually true.
No, and but it's such is life, and this is life in the professional wrestling world. I used to joke with my children, my two daughters. I would tell them, like, your dad's a professional liar. Like, what I do is I lie for a living. And if you think about it, like, that's what pro wrestling is. We are.
Yep.
We're liars. So it shouldn't shock anyone.
That is true, but not this time though. This time you're being factual,
right? But if you poll popular opinion, would be that I'm lying to you right now. So, where's the lie, John? Where's the lie?
That great promo. Love that.
Yeah.
Are you still getting that viral moment? The where's the lie? Are you still getting?
Well,
a lot
that's
of that?
the name of the podcast. That's the name.
No, but I mean,
our
just like
podcast.
from. Well,
Where's
that too
with Bobby Fish.
Well, that too, but also the fact that meme or whatever you want to call it, that the viral clip is out there.
Yeah, I mean, I never want it to go away.
So you're well, obviously you're embracing it, you're loving it.
Yeah, I mean, let's make some money, y'all.
Yeah. When that initially happened, were you expecting the crowd to, maybe respond a little bit better? Like that was crowd?
Well, so if we get into the details of that, and that's actually on the channel, I go into an explanation, at least what that evening was, and what that promo segment was, and what there was like 7 moving pieces in that promo. And I'm not here to, skate accountability or anything. If y'all want to believe that, like, I sank the ship, I laid the egg, that can be the story. Bobby Fish fucked up this promo because he's horrible at speaking. I have a bachelor's degree in English, but apparently Siena College is not worth much either, if that's the case. Either way, it was just a weird vibe in that building. It was in my hometown of Albany, New York, and I think it was one of those segments that I think it was a long night for those people to begin with, and then I think the segment went long, and it had like 7 people speaking. So it was Moose, Bully Ray, myself, Steve Macklin, and I think 2 or 3 more, and everybody had to have a piece where they said something. So I think I don't know what happened, but I know it sucked. In the moment, I didn't realize it was going to become this meme and whatnot. But, like, yeah, I mean, I heard it back too, and I'm not in denial. Like, you could hear a mouse fart in that building. It was quiet. So yeah, y'all. Where's the lie?
Where's the lie? Yes. It's very true. Now, obviously you were saying where's the lie? We're kind of joking around about that, but really the lie of the WWE return, you never end up going back to WWE. So how could you be bringing guys with you to go back to WWE if you're not, if you never ended up going there? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I truly have no idea where the guy got his information from, but I know that it didn't happen. I know that I did go back to WWE and do a guest coaching week at the PC. They were doing that with people, and I did do that, but I'm not here to defend myself. Like, I'm not. I know what happened and what didn't happen, and I'm just speaking my truth. And as far as fans go, you can believe me, you cannot believe me. I truly don't give a fuck.
How does that happen? The guest trainer thing, is that something you get a call from like Matt Bloom, like, hey, we want you to come in for a week, and like, how does that go down?
Well, truth be told, when I got hired by WWE, the original plan was for me to coach. So even the Undisputed Era, like, I'm older than all three of those guys. I think Roddy and I are the closest in age, and we're still probably separated by like 5 years. But the original interest in me was to come in and coach. And then as we started to talk about things and discuss, I was actually looking to go back to maybe a bigger role in New Japan, because I did not think that WWE NXT was interested in me as a performer. And I still felt like, I got some tread left on the tires. I want to do this. And so I was thinking New Japan would have been that. But then somewhere along the lines in the process, those conversations changed, and they brought me in. I worked with Aleister Black for what I think was probably their, looking back at it now, I realize that this was them going, okay, well, let's see. And that was probably my on-the-job audition, and obviously, the rest is history. And the conversations from that point on became, as a performer, not as a coach. But I think with Matt Bloom, he and I always got along really well, and there was always kind of a running joke with him, that he was going to get me on his coaching staff. And at the time, it didn't work out for whatever reason, and you kind of never really know there why is not always explained, and that's okay.
How did it go though? Was it, as far as it went well?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like everything went well. It was, years ago now that I think of it, and I've got so much life between then and now, and like I just got divorced and moved from Florida to New York, and selling a house, and man, just a lot of life has happened. So to be honest, I'm just feel like my world is just very different than what it was then. So it's hard to kind of take myself back.
Man, it's one of those things you never really know like what they're thinking, and they probably don't really tell you either, right? I mean, they don't give you that info.
No, not really. And I think if it's bad, I think you kind of know right away. If it's neutral to good, my experience is you don't know right away, but you find out. But truly anything can happen there. There's more times than not the explanation that you want, you're not going to get. So you just kind of roll with the punches.
Would you ever want to do that again? Like, because of course you have to move back down to Florida. Would you want to do that or no?
Yeah, I mean, my move back to New York has really been coming off the tail end of a divorce and just life changing. This is a reset for me. I don't know if New York is going to be the next 20 years or the next 2 months. I'm leaving things open-ended, and I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, divorce was a lot more unsettling than I ever would have anticipated. Not that I would ever have expected, like, oh, divorce, that'll be fun.
Right.
I just, it'll rock you, so got to pick the pieces up.
Yeah, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. That's just not good.
It happens.
So with you, and obviously, we're talking about, hey, is the door open here? Is the door open there? You're keeping your options open. With AEW, was there anything, because even on the way out, like losing to Darby Allin, but it's like a long match, so it's not like they kill you. I mean, it wasn't like they were killing you on the way out either when your contract was up. So maybe they were hopeful they could work something out with you.
I loved that match with Darby.
Good match.
I really, and you do this long enough, and you truly start to understand in a way that is not lip service. Like, it's not about wins and losses, because truly it's not. I had a blast working with Darby, and thought that match gave me an opportunity to show what I'm capable of. I um, felt similarly about a match early on in my run there with Bryan Danielson as well, and like just
Awesome match, yeah.
give me the opportunity to like I think that I'm a very sort of nuanced performer, and I know the thing that I was drawn to as a fan was a lot of the little things, um and I feel like as a performer, I try to add little things myself, and that attention to detail I think is where I'm playing to my strengths, and those are both matches that I was able to do that in. So yeah, I remember those matches fondly.
And I remember that Danielson match. That's great. That Saturday Night Dynamite, if you will. It's like a Saturday Night-esque show. That was great match, and you guys obviously have good chemistry, and maybe a little stiff, if you will. But I love that style. It's just great.
I think that's the style that Brian enjoys. I don't want to speak for him, but I know that's the style I enjoy. I know that Kyle was the same thing when we were, doing the Red Dragon thing. Some of my favorite matches, and I'll say, Kyle's too, were against the Briscoes when we were in our Ring of Honor run, and it's because those were like a walking car accident, but in the best way, in a way that was responsible, not completely out of left field, but snug as snug gets.
And you and the Bucks also, as far as Red Dragon, had awesome chemistry. Obviously, they're a little bit different style, meaning that you're not necessarily stiff the hell out of anybody like the Briscoes would, but you guys just had awesome chemistry, awesome matches.
Completely different style, but that's what made it, and that's what I think was part of what I enjoyed the most out of doing Red Dragon and working with Kyle and working with both the Bucks and the Briscoes and even the whole New Japan run and whatever. We got to work with so many great teams and have different chemistry with every one of them. And when you're talking about like the Bucks and the Briscoes, two polar opposites, but as Red Dragon, we were able to do both. And I dare I say there's not one that I would pick over the other. Like I love them both for their own reasons, and I think that's why they got over with fans the way they did too, was because fans could love them for just as much, but for entirely different reasons.
And it always seemed like kind of like a car wreck, but when you're there, it's like, wow, this is unbelievable. Like just the pace and the crowd reaction, they were always just awesome matches.
Yeah, taking people for a ride, and
Yep.
I like, dare I say, with Matt and Nick and Kyle, they're masters of it. I was just, along for the ride. If it was not for Kyle O'Reilly, I would have never made it through all those matches.
I was at Hammerstein in 2014 at the World of Worlds. That was great when you guys and the Young Bucks, just like tore it down.
Yeah, I think we got to a point with Matt and Nick where we could complete each other's thoughts, and I think a lot of that too had to do with our time in New Japan. So we got married to them in a way with Ring of Honor, and then New Japan started to bring Kyle and I over, and the Bucks were already there, and then we became natural foils to each other, and so then we were just married to each other in New Japan, married to each other in Ring of Honor, and I think the four of us, we would go on tour for New Japan, and when you're on tour, you kind of have each other. That's what you have on the road, because you're in the hotels, you're on the bus, you're going to this town and finding the gym there, and then finding someplace to eat and whatever else. So you're literally, you have no one but the boys, but each other. And for us, it was, we were all kind of routine guys. So it was like, meet each other in the lobby at 7 and go get coffee, and then the gym, and then whatever, and then that night we're working together too. So it's like we couldn't get away from each other.
And I feel like ROH a lot of the times is like, all right, we got a big show. Let's just automatically put Red Dragon and Young Bucks like New York City, Vegas, or like wherever. It's just an easy thing just for like the fans. Like, okay, let's put on a good match and let's put those guys together. It just seemed like it was almost like automatic, a lot of those shows.
If that's who we were, I take such immense pride in that being the case, if that's in fact what it was, because my father and my mother, they were blue collar. My mom was a nurse, my dad was a fireman, but they did their jobs well, and that sort of pride in your work was passed on to me. And if the company can rely on us in that way, like we need a banger, and they know, like, okay, well, give me the lefty. That's such. I take such pride in that.
Yep. Bring in the Wild Thing. Bring in Ricky Vaughn.
Ricky Vaughn. What a great movie.
Oh man, you're bringing in Ricky. Yeah. Great stuff. When you look at it, like with you, obviously, Red Dragon, kind of an interesting name. I think a lot of people thought it was a little weird at first, but it works. It fits you guys, right? I mean, it fits you and Kyle. It's a good gimmick name, good tag team name.
I mean, so the truth of that story is we were 100% supposed to be heels in the way that this was being done. A lot of this came as collaboration between Delirious, Hunter Johnson, the way that he saw some things, and then the way that we started to put our 2 cents in. And so Kyle breaking away from Davey Richards was going to be the impetus for the American Wolves having to come back together. And then they were huge as baby faces at that point, but they had no reason to come back together. They didn't have a reason necessarily to split per se, but they just weren't tagging at the time. But me kind of palling with Kyle, and then, for lack of a better phrase, kind of turning Kyle against Davey. Now Davey needs help, and then here we go. We're off to the races. So because we were heels, and then we were the whole beginning of that run was to be heels, I thought having this like martial arts sort of influence between both what Kyle and I did. Anything dragon. I've been doing martial arts since I was a kid, and I loved ninjas and all that, and Bruce Lee and all that stuff. So like anything dragon to me is like, okay, well, in an American way, that's kind of like martial arts, right? You're going to think of like the movie The Last Dragon, or Dragon. It makes you think martial arts. So I was reading a book at the time by Jason Ellis, and he had a skate group, and they were called Red Dragons with an S, I believe. And I just happened to be reading this book at the same time that we were, coming up in Ring of Honor, and I thought, I don't know, there's something kind of corny about Red Dragon that I think would allow people to go like, oh, okay, well, here are these two, martial arts assholes, and they think they're cool. Oh, Red Dragon. I don't know why, but I just thought maybe. And so I ran that name by Kyle, and he was up for it. And then we were thinking of ways that we could be annoying. So we wore pants that were way too tight. I had jeans that were way too tight. I wore a scarf. We parted our hair, boys regular. I started twisting the mustache, trying to be as annoying as we could be, but then also little things. Like I said, the nuance to me is everything in pro wrestling. So I took a look at the way that we wrote we could write Red Dragon. And I actually, I wrote it down, Re-Dragon. And then I'm looking at the part, if it's written like that, the D and the R are right next to each other. Okay, so what if we write it lowercase and we capitalize the D and the R? The D and the R, we're never going to say it, but we'll let people imply, well, Davey Richards?
Right.
So I said that I personally feel like the key is we never say this, but let's just let people do what they'll do with it. And like I said, the nuance, we thought about everything. If you go back and look at our gear that Kyle and I had made for the first time we started doing Red Dragon, the first set of gear that we had made, we had gray base, and then I had orange and black, and Kyle had green and black. So we had every color except for red.
Wow.
Just to be annoying. We did have a little symbol that was written in red and black, but I was like, I want, we have the name. I just want to, want people to look at it and then go, well, nothing's fucking red. Like, just, and I don't know, maybe it hits, maybe it misses, but that to me is the fun of pro wrestling, is that we get to, for all of us that perform, it's a creative outlet. And that, comes down to the gear you wear, to the moves you do. If you're in a tag team, the double team moves, it's all the promos you do, like we did our version of the Piper's Pit called the Fish Tank. Like, those are all just ways to express to the audience who we are. And I think the more that you get to do that, the more successful you have the opportunity to be. And I think that's what Red Dragon was. I think that was a chance for Kyle and I to really, two guys that have been doing it long enough to figure a few things out, but still have, some mistakes to make, and then to work that out right in broad daylight that everybody could watch and be a part of.
So nothing to do with like Manhunter 86 or Hannibal Lecter, nothing. Red Dragon.
No, I don't even know what these things are. I mean, I know
he's the villain in one of the Hannibal Lecter series. Yeah,
right. I know that name, but I don't know anything of it other than what was it? Put the lotion in the basket. Is that?
Oh, Buffalo Bill, if you will.
Right. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I know that, but that's about the extent of it. Yeah, it has nothing to do with. It was Jason Ellis who had a radio show and was a skater, and it was his book. That's where it came from. And I think they were Red Dragons, and we were just Red Dragon.
Now, hell of a team, and we're kind of saying you were one of the stalwarts in ROH, and kind of definitely was somebody they would rely on, along with the Bucks and obviously Kyle. Like, okay, we're going to go out there and have a good match. NXT, very similar with the Undisputed Era, because always like war games. It was always Undisputed Era. Like, you know what I mean? For years, it always seemed like you guys were relied upon. Did you get that kind of sense when you were at NXT as well, that you were, heavily relied upon for, putting on a good show out there, if you will? Like, you guys were kind of carrying the heel side of things.
I think after the fact, definitely looking back, I think in the moment, I think we were just caught up in enjoying what we were doing. I mean, to think that I was going to get, work for the biggest company in the industry, and I would be doing it in a group with three of my best friends. We truly, it was like not having a job, but then making the most money that you'd ever made in your career, doing that job that wasn't a job, or that didn't feel like a job. Because like when we would go and do TVs, like they were long days, but truly, I was hanging out with three of my best friends. When we were on camera, a lot of the production people would joke around with us about how we would only need 1 or 2 takes, and it was because it was real. And I think that there's the brilliance of maybe Triple H or whoever saw this, because we were not a team coming into NXT. Roddy was already with WWE. Kyle and I were a team. Adam and Kyle were a team previous, many years before that, but there was no like unit, and it was somebody's idea to put us together. And in a way, I think what they did was they just slapped a name on it and then put 4 guys who would have been hanging out at Roddy's house anyway, watching a UFC pay-per-view or something. And they just, put it on film and gave it a name and a good theme song.
What was it, 4 years in a row for War Games for you guys? I think it was 4.
Yeah, we did 4 War Games, and I've said this on other interviews and whatnot, like being such a fan of the War Games growing up and the NWA Crockett years, to think that we would be cast in that for NXT, and we would fill what would be, for lack of a better term, the role that the Horsemen played in that. Yep. The fan in me, I don't fucking deserve that. Like, it's just, so it's been a charmed career and a charmed life, just going through this crazy industry. But that definitely being one of the highlights. How could it not?
Obviously, it's one of NXT. Now WWE kind of has taken it, and now they do Survivor Series War Games. But when NXT had it, obviously, pre-Vince with Triple H at the helm there, that was basically like, they're one of their big shows, and you guys were always in the main event 4 years in a row. I mean, that's pretty awesome if you kind of just look at it resume-wise.
Well, 100%. And I think for the 4 of us, we were 4 guys that were hungry and wanted an opportunity. And why it worked, dare I say, at that time, was because the guy at the helm, being Triple H, was hungry, and as a booker, was, I don't want to say unproven, but was like this was his opportunity to really get in the starting lineup, and he wasn't going to squander that. And this was our opportunity, all of us having come from Ring of Honor, New Japan, what would, not be considered the pinnacle when it comes to WWE. And here was our opportunity, and we weren't going to squander that either. And we were, dare I say, we were seasoned, and Triple H as a booker would have been considered seasoned. I mean, he'd been around the business for a little while at that point. Yep. So, I just think it worked for a number of reasons, and I think the stars were just, aligned. But how could they not be at that point? Like, I just think it was inevitable.
Is that a weird thing, though? It's like, okay, we're NXT, we're supposedly, like the feeder, if you will, for WWE, but you're kind of not, because you got all these veterans that have been around the block and wrestled forever. And obviously, when Triple H was there, I mean, in the business 35 years, it's just, is that kind of strange, like to be like the NXT, the minor league, supposedly, but it's really not when you look at the roster.
I think it was strange at the time a little bit to be in it, but looking back at it now, I think it's just it speaks to the uniqueness of what pro wrestling is. And even though the outcomes and whatnot are controlled, and there's certain things that you control, there's only so much that can be controlled. And when you start to try to control more than you're supposed to, like the universe, the pro wrestling universe, it needs to like shake things up and realign and get things back to like a homeostasis, and it does that. It almost regulates itself, and I think that's what you saw there. So you get like this little blip in a timeline that enjoy it while it's here, because it can't last forever. And so no matter how good it is or how bad it gets, it's not going to last forever. Everything is temporary. So I think that that's one of those instances, and I think that that's where like Black and Gold sits as a time and a place in NXT, and that's where I'm happy to say that the Undisputed Era and what I was a part of that with three of my friends, and that we were something that is highly identifiable when it comes to that Black and Gold. And I even I look back at just that time frame too. Like, you got to throw like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. You've got to throw that in that sort of lead up as well, because I know, like, I'll speak for myself, but that's where I met William Regal for the first time, was at PWG.
Yeah, he's always at those shows. Yeah,
always.
Yep.
And he was always in that what was it? I'm gonna call it a VFW post, but it was but whatever it was. But he was there.
Yeah, that hall in Reseda, if you will. Yeah.
Yes, in Reseda. And you would never be able to, if you tried to set up the circumstances of what PWG was, if you tried, you would never have pulled it off.
Right.
But it just happened to be the right this and the right that. And I don't think you get the Undisputed Era if it was not for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. I really don't.
Yeah, a lot of guys obviously made a huge name for themselves over there, and you would always
Riddle,
see
Jeff Cobb. I mean, the Bucks, everybody.
And not only Regal would be there, the luminaries would be there. You get like Sofia Vergara and Ronda Rousey hanging out there. You know what I mean? You get everybody going.
I'll tell you right now, if it was not for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Roderick Strong and Marina Shafir are not married and don't have a child together. Like,
look at that.
That was a romance that started there, and I don't want to speak for them, and they're just a beautiful couple, and they're I say little boy Troy, but now he's a big boy. And I got to take this opportunity. I don't watch much of AEW, but I know, is it I want to say Rough Riders? It's not Rough Riders. Death Riders. It warms my heart to see Marina kind of getting her flowers with that. And like, at the end of the day, let's face it, I don't care what locker room in women's professional wrestling that she goes into. Like, I guarantee you, she's the baddest bitch. And I think that that's exactly what this has given her an opportunity to inhabit and to be. And I love it. And to see her kind of coming into her own as a performer. I'm not always able to follow what the storylines are, but just even the clips that I see of her, I know Marina, I can see that she's feeling it, and it just makes me so happy to see. And I'm just happy for her and for Rod to be doing their thing with the same company. I don't care if it's WWE, AEW, TNA, AAA, just for them to be together and doing this, it's awesome. And it goes all the way back to PWG.
Isn't that crazy? That is crazy. And she's kind of like the muscle for John Moxley a little bit there. So yeah, it's a good role for her.
And I think that's why it works. At the end of the day, like Shayna Baszler, Marina Shafir, like Ronda Rousey, Jessamine, like they were bitches that, dare I say, they're definitely the baddest bitches in the women's locker room, but they're probably taking out 50 to 75% of the guys too.
Wow.
Marina Shafir is not to be fucked with. I guarantee you.
The 4 horsewomen are taking out the Undisputed Era there. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know how we would have fared.
That would be a good War Games match, 4-on-4 to find out. Yeah,
it would. Somebody book it.
Yes, Come on, it's got to.
PWG.
Yes.
PWG. Come
if
on
they ever
back.
come back, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
That should happen. We just booked it here. 2-man power trip.
Yeah, there you go. Easy peasy. It's
Book
simple.
It, y'all.
Yeah. Just get
money on the
Rousey.
table.
Just get Rousey off the farm here and get her out there.
Yeah. I don't know what she's got going on, but I don't know. I mean, everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
True. As $1 Million Man would say, everybody's got a price.
This is true.
It's crazy. Like we're talking about like war games and stuff and this and that. War Chamber, the MLW. So you're even in that. They get you. You can't escape the war games.
I can't. That was yeah. I mean, it was similar. Reminded me a little bit. A little bit.
The Rogue Horsemen again. They rode again, if you will. You got to, in a different way, play a different version of the Horsemen, but technically speaking, there, so not terrible.
Yeah,
not
different, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Listen, I enjoyed all of my time there. If you ever have any of the other three on this podcast, you gotta remember to ask them about the Wicker Basket.
Okay. Oh, Wicker Basket. Okay.
Wicker Basket. Yep.
All right, I gotta talk to CW again. I talked to him not too long ago. I gotta talk to him again. Yeah, I gotta ask him about that. Interesting.
What a good man! I love that guy. I love him so much. Such a good human being.
He is a great guy. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Now, with you, obviously, we talked about a little bit of NXT, a little bit of AEW. Where would you like to go? If you had your druthers here, would you want to do New Japan if they're picking up? Because I know obviously they're kind of gearing up for a big show here. What do you think?
I would definitely not say no to going back to. It's been years since I've been in Japan. When we left to go to NXT, that's the last time I've been to Japan, and I had such history with Japan, starting with Pro Wrestling Noah back in 2006, I believe. So my history goes way back with them, and I'd fortunate enough to have spent so much time in Japan. And for a kid that started martial arts when I was 8, I never would have believed if you told me as a kid that I would go to Japan as many times as I've been there, which I've lost count. So I would love to go back to work in Japan for Noah, New Japan, All Japan. I just would like to get back over to the country. It's been years.
That David Finlay match, I guess, was not in Japan. My memory's not serving me correct. So it was in California then. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that was.
It was a New Japan show.
Strong. Yeah, New Japan strong. Yep. So
that would be nice to get back over.
Yeah, and for me too, I was such a fan of David's father. And then, got to know David. He was literally a young boy coming up when we were there with Kyle and Mai's run as Red Dragon. So to see David become the performer that he became, and then to have an opportunity to work with him, and I feel like Fit is the guy that had nuance in everything he did. And the late run that Fit had with WWE, where it seemed like he was going out there and working with younger talent, and just, I feel like that was his role, was, to work with people on the job, help get people ready on the job. And that's a role that I would welcome myself with any company. Like, I just love what Fit was able to do. And I do feel like I got some tread left on the tires. So, I would love to be used in that way.
That was such a fun kind of under the radar run, in the mid 2000s, him on SmackDown and stuff. And then finally get a WrestleMania match with JBL and stuff like that. But that was great because he had him and Benoit would like tear it up. And obviously he's not a younger guy, but they would probably be like, all right, let's get us something that everybody wants to see. Put him out there with Benoit or Booker T or something, because always had great chemistry. But I love that run, but I feel like people weren't ready quite for the Belfast Bruiser at that point.
No, but I think it almost didn't matter. He was just undeniably good at what we do, and
Yeah.
checked every single box, and it just didn't matter. It was like you could have put him and his performances out there with anyone in front of any crowd, and he was pro wrestling.
And there's an old picture. I don't remember like where it is or what it's from, but Fit is in a ring and he literally puts baby David in the ring. So he's technically wrestling as like a baby, technically. So he's been wrestling longer than anybody. I was like, wow, that's awesome. Go. Imagine that. Your dad's Fit Finley, the Belfast Bruiser, and he's technically putting you in a wrestling ring like as you're a baby. So he's getting you to run the ropes a little bit.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. But exactly. That's the exact word for it. Awesome.
So as we hit the wind down here, head towards the finish, what is next? What are you up to next? What are you doing? Tell us everything with the pod as well.
Yeah, the podcast, the YouTube channel, those are big endeavors for us. We are dropping content every week on the YouTube channel. We're growing that. So please, you can get there through the Bobby Fish on Instagram at the Bobby Fish. It's the first link in my bio. You can also go to bobbyfish.com. Hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, content weekly, and then more guests coming to the podcast. More guests with, sometimes a link to pro wrestling, sometimes not as much. Like I enjoy talking to lots of people, and that's what I'm hoping that the podcast becomes is that we can expand a little bit and talk to lots of interesting people, some with a foot in pro wrestling and maybe some not quite as much.
Where's the lie? Right.
There he go. Oh, yes, sir.
And I love that you lean.
We're gonna find it one of these days. Yes. We are gonna find it, and it'll probably be on the podcast.
Right. It's awesome that you're leaning into it, though. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard not to.
Yeah. And it is not true. It is a lie that you were going to return to WWE with Adam and with Kyle. So that is not
maybe
true.
That's the lie. Maybe that's and I don't want to, point him out by name again, but I think I'm almost positive it was the SAP guy.
When you look at it, though, they're not there, though. So it's not true. It's not true.
No, that's the fucking lie.
None of it is true. Yeah.
And he's the liar.
Yes. But where's the lie? I like that. Yeah.
Well, and it's more fun to think that I'm the liar.
Right.
Which at the end of the day, I'm not saying I'm not a liar. I've been a pro wrestler for 25 years. So like lying's what the fuck I do.
And you used to be jerk. So you used to be a jerk.
Yes.
So that is true. That's 100% true.
I'm still a jerk, just not the jerk.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That's
now
true.
This conversation's starting to sound dirty, John.
my fault. Get off the rails here.
Yeah.
But Bobby, thank you so much for all the time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I was glad you had me on, man. I really appreciate it.